Draw set. Go.
How are you feeling today, Jess? Good. If you have any symptoms, sneezing, coughing, vomiting, being around any sick people that you know, right? You've been in sick places like hospitals or senior centers. You can put yourself up there and then bow in. Also, sanitize your hands, please.
Potter, finish up.
Sit.
Okay, John Sweat. Good. Gregorio. All right, Jackson. Nice to see you, sir. Good. Gregorio. Okay, you guys ready?
Sit.
I want to talk to you a little bit about your Korean flag, and specifically the trigrams that we see represented around the umyang shape. Okay. You guys familiar with those four symbols? All right. What do you know about them?
Each one represents a different flag.
Okay. So those trigrams are part of a actually a larger structure. Typically, there are 8 of them. Okay, and they all are different arrangements of either solid or broken lines. Okay, and then those 8 lines are actually stacked with each other in various combinations to make a total of 64 trigrams. Okay. And now you could just keep exponentially increasing those. You could go up to 128, 256. You could do that, but they stop at 64. And the story goes that about 5,000 years ago, there was a Chinese sage who studied the patterns of the weather and looked at the way that nature interacted and recognized these consistent patterns, the way things were substantial and insubstantial. And he basically calculated out 8 different ways that those things interact with each other. And then, fast forward 3,000 years, about 1200 BC, there's another guy comes along and he takes them and he adds the 64. Okay? So anyway, we use 4 of them for our flag. Now there's a martial arts system from China called Bagua. And Bagua uses the name of those characters is Bagua. Okay, so Bagua Zhang is 8 diagram palms. All right? And what they do is they use them to kind of structure their martial arts system. And they use the symbols metaphorically to explain how their bodies should work. And there's a lot of overlap between that system and the way that we do our martial art. So I just learned these very recently, and I want to share them with you in the hopes that you guys can understand a little bit and keep that symbolism in mind and help you to understand and to have a better ability to train and to teach and to lead as black belts should in our system through that understanding. Okay? Making sense so far?
Sit.
Okay. So what we want to do is we want to talk about the first symbol is the 3 solid lines. All right? The 3 solid lines represent heaven, and in our anatomy, in our body, they all represent our head. Okay? And then opposite that, you see 3 broken lines. And the 3 broken lines symbolize earth, or in your body, they symbolize your... What on your body is broken into 3 sections and is at the bottom? Your leg. 1, 2, 3 parts. Now there's a separate symbol for foot, okay? But there are 3 parts to your leg. Now, are your legs more mobile than your head? Yes, significantly so, especially in our system. We get a lot more movement out of our legs. Our head should be still. Okay? We don't throw our head all over the place when we fight. We want a good head position, upright, not looking down, okay? Set, right? Like when we do our waist rotations, we really focus on keeping our head still, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so the head is always above the feet, the head is always stable, and the legs are very mobile, very flexible and able to move freely, right? Okay, now, about the other 2 symbols. They represent the 2 sections of our middle, of our trunk. Okay, we have the abdomen and the chest. All right, so if we have one that has 2 broken sections on the outside, insubstantial, and one line in the middle that's substantial or solid, and then we have the inverse, we have substantial on the outside and open on the inside. Which one do you think represents your chest, and which one do you think represents your abdomen? It's okay to let me know what you think.
On
What
the
do you
outside
think?
is your chest, on the inside is your abdomen.
I can't hear you, sir?
On the outside is your chest, on the inside is your abdomen.
That's right, okay? So the outside, our chest, hard on the outside? Really? Your bones are soft, your chest is soft? Okay, so our chest is very firm on the outside. We have our chest, our rib cage, right? And on the inside, what's the open space? Your lungs, your air. Should the flow of air in our bodies, in our training system, be free, or do we restrict our breathing? We always breathe freely, right? Relaxed and open through our breathing. So solid on the outside, and then the open is free for air to flow in and out. We don't like this, okay? We use very free and comfortable breathing, don't we? Yeah, so you see how that fits our system? Solid on the outside, open on the inside, represents that freedom to breathe comfortably, right? Now, if we're talking about our lower abdomen, insubstantial or soft on the outside, free and able to move, right? Okay, what's the solid part in the middle? What originates in our abdomen that we try to incorporate into all of our technique, and our abdomen should be full of it? Good, okay? Took the first three guys a little bit longer to come around to that. Very smart, okay? So we have two tangents, okay? We have our proper tangent, and we have what's called your false tangent. In the front, you have that part that sits here about 2 inches below your navel, and then just below the surface, where we can feel our energy cycling. And when we stretch and we do our breathing and stuff, we start with our hands there, right? But we also have about 2 inches in and 2 inches down where our gi is stored. And they call that the real tangent, okay? But the other one's real too. It's just that this one is the kind of like the production house, and the other one's kind of like the reservoir. Does that make sense? Okay? So whenever we do our breathing for our kicking and everything like that, we want to keep our core as a full storehouse for our gi, and we want to keep our breath free and relaxed. And that corresponds with all of our technique, all of our forms. See how it works? Okay, now there are 4 other symbols, one for your shoulders. It's 2 solid lines with 2 empty lines on top, okay? And it symbolizes freedom of shoulder movement on top of a stable foundation, right? Okay, the hips are the opposite. The hips are stable underneath and free on top, right? The back is stable at the top, free underneath, okay? And the feet are just the two solid lines and then 2 little broken lines. And it symbolizes the wind, or the freedom of our feet to move around quickly and easily. Okay, see how all of those things kind of tie in? The downward shaped bowl, when we make our body, like our dragon body shape, that's the solid line with the 2 lines underneath. Open, underneath, well structured on top. See it all? All right, so all those things are very interesting, but the 4 that I really want you guys to latch onto are the ones that we see all the time. So every time we salute the flags, we can look at those trigrams, and we can think about how we should approach our training. It's a constant reminder. It's always right there in front of us. See it? All right, so Jackson, what's the solid lines?
Head, body, and legs, sir.
Okay, just the 3 solid lines. The structure that is 3, the trigram that incorporates 3 solid lines.
Leg.
Don't guess. Christian, what's the solid lines?
Your head.
Your head. Remember, we want our head to be stable and not all over the place. What's easier to move? 3 big solid lines or 6 little pieces? 6 little pieces. So the 6 little pieces represent our legs. Okay, part 1, part 2, part 3, free, lots of mobility, right? Okay, and then what about solid in the middle, open on the outside? I gave you a hint. I want to write to my abdomen, right? That's our abdomen, full of gi, but soft and ready to move, okay? What about our chest? Solid on the outside, open on the inside to allow for good breathing. Make sense? Okay. So I already told you this one is heaven and this is earth. Now, the last 2 symbols are fire and water that are represented here. Okay? So which one do you think is fire? Your chest or your abdomen? So remember, your chest is solid on the outside, open on the middle. Your abdomen is solid in the middle, open on the outsides. Your chest, very good, okay? And then this one is water. All right? Does that make sense? Okay, so does a fire need air? Yes. Yes, you cannot have fire in the absence of air. If you take away air, you can extinguish the fire. Did you know that? You ever blown on a fire to get it to increase? You're giving it what? Air. Okay, one of the key components in the combustion is air. All right. Your abdomen is your water symbol because it's like the origin of life. Does that make sense? Okay, so when you're a fetus, before you're even a fetus, when you're just a little embryo, you know what the first organs to form are? Kidneys. 2 little kidneys pop out, right? And they talk about that as being one of the originations of what's called pre-heaven gi. We're not going to talk about that today, but that's where all the stuff that came, all the gi that comes from your mom is really pure, and that's where it comes from. And that's where our origination is, so our abdomen is associated with water, okay? We're mostly water, right? Any more water or fire? Water. And do we want to mix fire and water together? No, no, okay? So these two should not conflict with each other. Understand? Okay, so lots of interesting things, so you can think about it that way. So let's review one more time. What is this one? Three solid lines. This one? 6 broken lines. Good. And this one? Solid on the outside, broken in the middle, right? And symbolized by? Chest and? Fire. Good. This one, abdomen, represented by?
Soft on the outside.
Soft on the outside, full on the inside, full of? Energy, symbolized by water, right? Also probably full of water too, but that's not helpful for our martial art, okay? All right, interesting? Yeah, cool. So if you're interested in more about that, again, the meaning of that martial art is Agwajan. I'm studying it right now. If you guys are interested in talking about it, I haven't done much technique study, just looking into their background and understanding some of their theory, and it's really interesting stuff. I'd be happy to talk about it with you, but that's all we're going to talk about today, okay? But I challenge you guys to at least remember those key details, because it's represented. What do we do at the start of every class? We salute our flags, right? So we want to be thinking about our country and our commitment to our nation, but we should also be thinking about how we're going to approach our training and using those symbols to remind us of how we should approach our style. Yeah? Okay. Now today I want to focus a lot on Pong Jewl. I understand your applications might be a sticking point for you guys. And having a partner here today, you have a chance to work through those. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through your form section, and then we're going to break down each one of the applications that comes from that respective section. And it really does just go hand in hand with some small variations, okay? So start right here, start up. Okay, good. When we start Pong Jewl, we're going to jump, boom, across our hands. Good. And then we bring our hands here, and because we are on TV, we have to put our left hand on top, boys. Left hand on top. In our form, normally it's right hand, Christian. But we got to switch here. Yeah, good. Then go outside, outside, down, back fist, and then we shift our hip and punch. Good. Relax your shoulders, nice and smooth. Then we're going to bring our hands past our front leg. We're going to step forward and double hammer fist. Good. Now, I did a little forward lean there, but we do want to stay on the back leg, Christian. That was my bad. Yeah, we do that later in the form, right? Okay, now from here, good. Yep, we'll face the other way. Now, normal method, just bring your right hand in front, pop. Good. Right hand on top, elbow out and down, left hand elbow out down, back fist, right pop, boom. Good, remember to go past that front leg and down. Good, keep your breath free, your middle full, good, your head stable, your legs ready to move. Good, and harder. Alright, so applications for that section. You good for those? Alright, so let's face it this way. And they're all right hand punch defenses, okay? So the first one, just soften your knees and then jump, boom, 45 degrees. That's all we have to do, right? So now when we do that, your pattern is going to be sideways with your elbow, and then down with your elbow, and then we finish sideways with the elbow again. So if you think about Pong Jewl, when we come up, we go side and then down, don't we? The only thing that we add to the application is that extra shot to the ribs, yeah? Good? So when we jump, we're going to side, down, side. That's the elbow movement. Got it? All right, let's do it one more time. Opponent punches us. You can't stay here and you can't jump straight into their hand. Got to go 45 degrees a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3 strikes. Go. Side, down, side. Yeah, it's pretty easy. All right, let's do one more. And it's going to correlate the other way. This time I'm going to step with my right foot. Opponent's going to come in. But this time when I come in, I'm going to elbow their arm down. Good. And then I'm going to slide forward and elbow them in the back of the skull. Then I'm going to drop into horse stance, pivot my hips, and elbow straight down into their kidney. Good? All right, so one more time. Pattern here is down, side, down. Okay? So, all right, very similar. So we're going to step out. Down, on top of their arm. Good. And then we finish our stance into front stance, back of the head with the elbow. That should pop them forward, right? So we're just going to drop, boom, straight down into their back using our body weight. Bring that elbow into their back. Does that make sense? All right. So, I'll partner with Jackson. From there, I'll partner with Christian, please. We're going to face this way first. Please partner down. Before him. Okay, so for the first one, I'm just going to put my arm here. All right? And all you have to do is that jump. You can hit the side of my arm, and you can hit the top of my head. So Instructor Merrill's just park his hand. I'm just going to jump very lightly. 1, 2, 3. That's the move, okay? So here, I'm going to side, down, side. But I want to do that all in the air. I don't have to worry about timing because his hand isn't moving. I just go 1, 2, 3. Light touches. We got it? Okay. Same thing. Try 3 times. Side. Good. Gotta jump forward a little, okay? Try to come down on my shoulder. Better. Good. Okay, now, she's done 3 as well, sir? Alright, one more. Yes, good. Alright, now we're punching. 2 of them in time with my punch. Okay, keep your eye on my target. Head still. Chest open. Abdomen full. Legs. Ready to move. Good. A little more down on the shoulder, alright? Good. You're still kind of just poking my shoulder. I want to come down on top of that guy. Alright? Good. One more time. Much better. Okay. Alright, now we're back to that set position. And when I come in, first one is down. You see my stance? I'm only halfway. And I finish, boom, back of the head, drop down, hit the kidney, okay? So one more time, he's gonna leave his hand there. Now, even if I'm not as tall as him, unless he's trying to punch over my head, his punch has to match up with me, understand? So when I step in, I don't have to increase my height, I can still get on top of his arm, make sense? Now be careful, we don't wanna open up this. There's a pressure point on the inside of our arm. We don't wanna open that up for our opponent. So even when I bring my hand up to my elbow, I'm bringing my chest in, and my elbow, my body's still protected. I'm not going like this. Got it? Yes, all right. So here, I can still get my elbow above my face. Hand, please. Elbow above my face, body protected. 1. Good. Sideways to the back of the head as I finish my front stance. 2. Drop into my horse stance kidney shot. Okay? 3 times like that, and then 2 times in response to the punch. 1. Back of my neck. Good, and then? Yes. Good. A little more depth with your step, okay? Be all the way in the front stance when your elbow in the back of my head. Okay, 2 times in response to my punch. Good. Make sure your lines are good. Down, side, back. Alright, now, next one, we're going to be sideways to our partner, hands like this, okay? So we want to have our hands oriented so that our left hand is up and our right hand is elbow down. Very similar to where we are in the form before we get into that sequencing, okay? So I'm right here, and I'm going to slide out, back fist on top of his arm, shoot my foot out, step through and punch, okay? So very simple. He sets up. I want to be pretty close to him on this one so that my back fist has reach. I'm going to be here, boom, boom. That's it. Okay, very simple. Coming down on top of the arm, shooting the right foot out, following through with that punch. Okay? So simple, in fact, we're going to go into number 4 as well. Which means I'm starting in the same position. I'm starting with the same movement from 3, but then I'm going to step forward and execute that hammer fist. Now, I'm not pushing him away from me. Like we did like Solomon when we were coming in this way. You guys remember that one? Yeah. That has very much of that like down and balance break across the hip kind of feel. This one, we're down from the top. I'm going to block, I'm going to punch. When I come through, I'm pushing very much down onto his body structure with both my forearm and this back hand. Even if this hand doesn't come in contact with him, I'm not just going to take it out. There's that push, and then there's both my hands and my stance coming down. Feel the difference? Okay. So same thing here, just really lightly. Just my right hand, right? And if I use my left hand and my body weight at the same time, right, okay? So full middle, open chest, yi, push down both hands, okay? All right, ready? 3 times, and then 2 in time with a punch. 4, 3 times, and then 2 in time with a punch, okay? Good. All right, now, this punch is a little bit more like an overhand arcing punch. Because if you think about the line that comes through from that punch, we want to get that circle started. Circle into that hammer fist. So don't throw it like a cross, okay? So think about like an overhand, kind of hooking, downward right movement, getting that circle going, ready for that big hammer. Make sense? Yeah. Last shoulders. Freely breathing. Good. Remember, you want to punch me. My line. Don't punch behind me. All right, good. Now. right foot to the outside. Right foot to the outside. And good. Now, I'm going to punch you. All right, now, same thing, but add that step. Circle. And then push on my body. Let me feel you push. Don't lean. Drop. Yes, good. Nice enough. Okay, we got it? All right, good big planter. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so now we're facing this way. And remember, when we start this way, this facing, what are we doing? Mirror. Okay, so this really test your memory. Start from here and go across. 1, gotta be that left hand on top. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get that overhand feel. Overhand feel. Yes. Brush past that front leg. Down. Good. Now your front foot, your front hand. Step back. High block. Circle underneath like a high block, but project a little bit so you can uppercut. Get this hand circling behind you. You don't need a ready hand. You're circling it through directly into that long uppercut. Now, same thing. We stuck there. Flow it back to the back leg. Circle it across and double hammer fist. Now, feet come together. We elbow 1, 2. Step and elbow 3. Good. Elbow down. Back fist and. Yep, that's right. Stack them. Get like you're clapping, you're just not really good at it. All right, good. Yes? Now we face this way. Same thing. Regular method. Feet together. Yeah, there's no two you gotta say. This is it. Just try it. That's all. Cross, huh? Go. Sit. Right elbow down. Net. Toss it. Toss it. Either go. Overhand style. Build it. Good. Turn it. Oh. Feel it. Go. Huh. Ready? Feet together. Hit. Hit. Toss it. Toss it. Go. Hit. Okay. I'll go. Yeah? All right. So, again, we're facing this way. But first, just watching. I'm going to come from this position. After I did my first section, stepped in and punched. My last application was here and then here, right? So now when he punches me, I turn around behind him, catch his hand 1, get my hammer fist all the way across 2, and then finish uppercut 3. Yes? All right. So we're going to start facing this way. They're going to punch us. We turn around. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Just like we did before. Okay? Same thing. Face your partner. Get. Go ahead. Turn around. Right foot in front. Look over your shoulder. It's a static arm. Walk backwards. Walk backwards. That's in the strong shoulders. Hands get 1 high block. Reach underneath hammer. Uppercut. This one stays up here. Good. Fix your posture. Good solid foundation. Right? 1, 2, 3. Straighten this one all the way out. Put it around your shoulder. First one. Okay. One of the things that the second hammer fist does for is seeing my body weight. So I'm really far over this leg, right? So I'm reaching all the way out there for that guy. And I hit this one, that hit hand, his arm's going to be gone. Now I'm going to come back. I'm going to shift my weight into that uppercut. So if I'm sitting back here trying to hit with this guy, just reaching my arm, I don't get the same on my punch. Is that making sense? Okay, so let me punch one more time. I got my high block here. I reach into that one. So now my body is flowing into that uppercut. Clear? Okay. Right. Try again. In response to punching, turn around. And step through, go. 1, reach for 2. Yes, put your body into it. Don't lean forward. Just twist your hips. Keep your foundation. Okay? Sir?
Yes,
Let's go. You don't have to block my hand twice. This one's for the face. And then the other. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so now, when we did that, I'm going to be here, here, here. Right? Right? Okay? All right, so if I were to do the next part of the form, I would be here with my right foot in front. Yeah? Okay, so sorry, you don't get to do it that way. You have to step forward with your left foot and block with that one. Yeah, he's actually going to point to his other hand too. And it's going to be 1, 2, I'm sorry, it's still right foot, but it's this one first. 1, 2, 3. But our opponent's going to punch with this hand, okay? So the same thing, do the same opposite side. I'm going to high block with this one. hammer fist with, oh sorry, my fault. Hammer fist with this one, hammer fist with that one. There's my uppercut, and then follow through, right? So you guys are gonna be responsible for a left hand punch this time. Good? Alright, ready? Here. Step forward. High block. Hammer fist. Take the uppercut. Follow through. Hammer fist. Remember, it's this one you block first. And press hard. Feet square. Step into it. Front hand first. Then front hand high block. And then reverse. Bam, bam, bam. Alright, now. Back shoulders.
Was it?
Okay. Now push my face. Stay forward there.
Very much like that first one that we did.
1, 2, 1. Yes, good. Pop, pop, pop. Yeah? Yeah, good. Pong Jewl, wind. Breaks the elbow with his, breaks the tree with his elbow, right? So it's kind of a funny name, but do you feel the wind? Especially that application? Watch Christian again. It's very smooth. Yeah, flowing, but not always the same speed, right? The wind gusts and has changes in speed. So we want to have that kind of 1, 2, 3, 4. Not always the same speed, but picking up, slowing down, picking up, slowing down. Yeah? Alright, questions about those? Alright, good. So the next one we're going to start from right here. Having just finished those 2 hammer fists. The partner's going to punch, it's back to the right hand. We're going to come in, we're going to elbow their arm first. Then we're going to boom, so attack their chest next. Use your shoulder, step through, boom, drop an elbow, drop a back fist, drop a punch. Okay, so just like the form, right? Alright, so we're all facing this way to start. We got our feet and our hands just like we had them in the form, left hand on top. Bring the feet together, left arm attacks the arm, then attacks the chest. Don't swing your foot at all. Step directly through your middle, rotate the shoulder. So we're going to rotate the shoulder, not swing it. Rotate, and then come down, pop a quick back fist, set up that punch. Yeah? Okay, let's do it. 3 static, 2 dynamic. Alright, now remember, just like I did with Instructor Merrill, he's on my left shoulder facing this way, okay? So you guys are right foot in front, facing that way, just like you would be in the form. Yes? Okay. And the body. Good. Step into the body. Good. Try to open up your feet until that last punch, okay? Alright, we start. Switch your hands. Sorry, let's go. Yes, good. Remember, they're both hammer fists. Yes.
That's including the one using that elbow. It's back and down.
Alright, so really quick, Instructor Merrill's punching me. What's my first move? Nope. Okay, you still punching me? No, okay. So I don't want to go like this. Now, so here, get out of the way, and then come in, okay? Remember, both hammer fists, you just hit them with a hammer fist. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now I'm punching you, okay? Get that head out of the way. Put your stance in there. Good. Good. It's good dodging. Yeah, good. Relax your shoulders. Open up your feet so you have room. Yeah. Ready? Double hammers. Pushing. Yeah, good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shoulders. Balance them out. Yeah. Okay. Pretty clear?
Sure.
Alright. So, from here, we're only going to do one more application today. Alright? So we started like this, and we had just finished with this positioning here, right? Let's start from the beginning. Yeah. Start from here. And then jump, left. Poop, 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 poop. Good. Step. Application number 4. Walk backward. Application number 5. High block, uppercut. Plus finishing. Number 6. Number 7. Elbow, elbow. Step elbow. Down. Back fist. Punch. Now, first one, come over the top. Step 1. Come back over the top 2. And then back over the top 3. And then block, punch, okay? So that's the one we're finishing with today. Face this way. Do the same thing, yep. jump, right, right hand, left hand, and punch. Step, that position, moving forward, turn, high bar, uppercut, double hammer. Feet together, number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep the shoulders nice and square. Good. Over your left side. 1. Right hand and left hand, 2. And then 3. That's where we're going to stop today. Okay? Alright, so it's only a very quick application. We're not really doing a whole lot aside from utilizing that rotational movement. So I want my opponent, very similar to what I had done here, coming down my opponent's body line for application number 4. Good. This time I'm taking his punch and I'm moving a little bit out of the way. Then I'm going right back down on top of his arm. Okay? This works really well in like response to kicking. He kicks me, and his body comes catapulting right into my palm. So if we do it in response to the punch, we just come out 1, 2, down on top of the opponent's arm. So work with Christian as well. So Jackson, you're gonna punch me. So when I do this, I'm not pushing your arm away at all. Okay? Heel. I'm gonna come 1. Oh, don't be afraid. I'm not gonna hurt you. Then you go 1, straight to the ground. Okay? So same thing. I'm gonna park my hand first. We start relaxed. Good. And we go to the outside of the arm. Nope, the arms go. We go outside of the arm. The arms go. Rotate the shoulders 1. And then spring them back 2. Yes, good. But don't spread them out like this. Here, okay? So I'm not like that on your arm, I'm here on your arm, okay?
Now you see where you
Good.
set back this. That one again, your hands really out.
Good. You're still trying to play the drums? Right? Instead,
Right there, that back is.
stack it. Stack it, okay?
Just quick snap.
So when we do this, which one comes in first?
Right.
Okay, well, front or back? Okay, good. All right, so if I even, now when I step, it's that one, and then I follow through with the other one in the form. Okay? Familiar with that part? All right, so just understand that because the difference changes when you step. When we're doing this guy, it's 1, and then this hand's going to be slightly in the lead of this one, but they should both come into the arm at the same time. Okay? Don't come out like this where you're trying to do them both as they almost like drive it in or something. Okay? Stagger your hands. Yeah? In response to punching. Yes, much better. Good. Okay, so what helped you make that connection? Good, good. Much better.
Right hand still.
Yes, good. All right, nicely done. Okay, so really quick, just from the hand park position, number 1, jump. Good. All right, and is that side down side? Or down side down? Good. Number 2. There's no jump on number 2. Stop halfway into your front stance, down. Finish your front stance. So one more time, Chuck Camaros parks his hand. My first move is here. Halfway through my step. Okay, let's try that one more time. Halfway through your step, come down. Good. 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 Okay, good. Number 3. What's our front position, Christian? Here. Okay. Good. And number 4. Everything's static. We're not punching. We just fixed hands. And down. Good. All right. Number 5. Which you must. Good. Static hand. Reach in there. Reach in there so you get a better uppercut, okay? And then number 6. Very good. So face. Static hand. Alright, now, number 7. Good. Much foot in front. How do my hands orient? They're hammer fist, Christian. You just hammer fisted him, so yeah. Static hand. Go. Put your head out of the way. 1, 2. So the pattern is arm, chest, chest. Okay, try again. Foot in front. Good. So arm, chest, chest, chest. Yeah, good. Remember to open up your feet like this, keep the shoulders square. Alright? Number 8. Hardest one ever. Static hand. Over push. Good. This part slows you down, doesn't it? Bring the hands over. But what I want is that kind of just connecting my shoulder movement. It's not stop, start again. It's very much 1, 2, shoulders flowing together. Does that make sense? Okay, so use that feeling and that timing to get the shoulders to work together. Then you don't really need the other one, and you've already got the shoulder movement. Understand? Which part? Yeah? Go ahead. All right. Michelle, how many applications do you have? 12 of them, right? So how many do we do?
8.
8. Good job. Let's line up. Ready up.